Thanks, I really appreciate it. Trying to avoid the feedback. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out tonight. North Coast Angel Fund was one of our original investors, was our first lead investor we are a Fund 1 company, I think as was indicated earlier. We're excited to be here tonight to present. All right, so just a quick history of the company here on the first slide. Something to note of significance was earlier this month, actually, we closed the sale of our BoardMax product for a little bit over 3x of the revenue on that product. We put that money back into the company to be 100% focused on our Amplifund enterprise business. If you recall, back in 2009, when I first presented to North Coast Angel Fund, and I'm sure all of you remember my presentation, I presented that we were a BoardMax company. And so it's very interesting to think about now. We've sold that business. We're now running a business that didn't even exist when you guys originally invested with us, which is the Amplifund business. The Amplifund business is focused on federal grants. There's good news about federal grants for people that get it, and there's bad news. We enhance the good, and we mitigate the bad. Basically, when we talk about federal grants, what are we talking about? There's $650 billion of annual federal grant making. Even if the current administration cuts that by $20 billion, there's still $630 billion a year of annual federal grant making. It's not really going to affect our business or our business model. The amount of those grants that goes to our target enterprise market of cities, counties, and states represents 16% of all federal spending and 5% of the entire gross domestic product in the country. The importance to that revenue to the cities, counties, and states is that on average, a state will represent 35 cents on every dollar that a state spends as a federal grant dollar. So this is not only a lot of money globally, but it's a lot of money as it relates to our customer. It's an incredibly important part of the revenue stream. We're talking billions and billions of dollars. And when there's misses on this revenue of 5%, 4%, or the average of 6%, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars on an annual basis that these states, counties, cities aren't bringing in to support their constituency. The bad news for these groups is, the good news is they get all the money. The bad news is there's a lot of requirements, there's a lot of compliances related to this. You have everything from identifying and finding funding streams, managing multiple parties. So when a state, for example, gets a grant for $150 million, they distribute that grant to all the counties in Ohio. Yet the state is on the hook for reporting on what happened with that money, auditing that money, and tracking the performance of all of that money, but they're no longer implementing it. It's not their team, it's not their staff, it's not their people. What our software does is it enables those states, cities, and counties to not only find the opportunities, but to track, monitor, and audit them throughout the entire grant lifecycle, and ensuring that they're then able to draw down the full amount of dollars. So what happens sometimes is a city or a county doesn't spend their money, the state gets the grant, and they're not actually able to draw that down. Consequently, they get negative audit findings, and these compliance requirements are only increasing. The increase of these compliance requirements is being driven by the federal government. Our company is very active in the federal space. We're very active in tracking and monitoring what's happening with these pieces of legislation. Everything from OMB policy to legislation passed by Congress, like the Digital Accountability and Transparency Act, that's actually the formal name of that, and including state initiatives like the recently passed Open Data Initiative in the House and the Illinois Grant Reform Act. All of these things are driving increased compliance, making it harder for these states to draw down that necessary capital. Our solution drives the accountability, increases the cash, manages the recipients and the individuals, and therefore distributes funds. We're talking to a customer, potential customer right now, which over the last 5 years has lost $2 billion in federal funding. So the ability to go to that customer and show that for $3 million, $4 million, $5 million of annual recurring revenue, you can bring in billions of dollars of cash is a powerful argument and discussion point, which is why the business has pivoted into this enterprise sales model. How do we scale across these companies? We have formalized partnerships now with KPMG, Microsoft, Grant Thornton. These are companies that are already implementing us in different customer bases around the country. They're supporting us in ongoing deals and in our pipeline. Today we have 247 customers across over $1 billion market and spend that we project, and currently we're managing $23 billion annually in Amplifund. What do we want to do this year? So we sold our one product, now we're really focused on Amplifund and the enterprise market. I'm going to highlight points 5 and 6 on this slide. One thing that exists within our market is as those funds come down in every county and every city and every school district and every hospital and every educational institution in the state receives that federal money through the state, all of those become potential customers for us. They all get a freemium version of our product. Part of our next layer of business is to then go in and sell them. We project that we'll be able to actually double the revenue that we generate on each state contract by getting the downstream revenue. So we're starting to initiate that, as Todd said, with our first state contract coming in Q1 of this year. We're going to move that forward and drive that model forward. We're also going to focus on identifying and what the next plan is for the remaining 50 states that we have in this plan. We're going to have a capture plan for all 50 states by the end of first half of 2017 from a top-down perspective. Once we get a certain base point at the state level, the next business would be to push this up to the federal government. Annual recurring revenue projected, so this is kind of a slide of the curve that Mark showed you a second ago of what they actually did. This is a slide of the curve of what we want to do, so it's not quite as impressive as what he just presented, but I do think the opportunity is here for us to have some significant growth. If you look at the growth numbers, which we've already hit the Q1 number, so that's an 86% growth in our ARR from where we started the year. And as you can see, we project to do about 280% growth this year, year over year on the annual recurring revenue. And then over the next 2 years, almost 700% growth in the ARR as we look forward to 2018. We have a strong management team. I guess I shouldn't say that about myself, it's a little bit egotistical. But we have 3 other really strong managers on our team. John Dearborn, obviously many of you know from Jumpstart, and we're very excited because we just hired Fred Bidstock, who is our CFO. He was the CFO at TOA Technologies prior to their exit to Oracle. Has a great deal of experience in large SaaS enterprise business play. Today we've raised close to $15 million in total capital since the company was founded, including, obviously, we had an initial investment from North Coast Angel Fund, the follow-on investment from North Coast Venture Fund, our friends from Jumpstart, and are an investor with us as well in the room, so thank you very much. Our most recent round was co-led by North Coast Venture Fund as well as First Analysis, VC firm out of Chicago. In summary, we've pivoted, we've built again, and we're excited to be moving forward. We think with a very strong opportunity. As Todd mentioned, we have several seven-figure deals in the pipeline. We've closed one, and we expect to close another one in Q2. We have sight on that, and so we're excited about where the direction of the business goes as we look at this enterprise market, the changing in the dynamics in the country around legislation, transparency. It's really supporting our drive forward in this business. Thanks, I'll take any questions.